ta lè pè ní country. Tí a bá wò lọ́wọ́, kí ni gain wa nínú Nigeria? What has been our gain being part of the country called Nigeria in the last 64 years? Who actually is gaining more and who is losing more in the current Nigeria? Many of those that are crying that we should keep Nigeria literally are not gaining anything out of Nigeria. But because they are not sure what will be for them if we eventually break away from Nigeria. So who is going to be the loser? That is the question this afternoon. Should Nigeria break from the current state of things, who is going to lose and who is going to win more? Many people might say that everybody will gain and everybody will lose. I don't think anybody will lose because everybody would have the privilege to set up their own system of government in accordance to how they want it to run. So for every time that we are asking for the de-amalgamation of Nigeria, the first thing is nobody is calling for war. All we are asking for is to review what the British created in 1914 amalgamation. And that amalgamation, as everybody is aware, expired about 2014. So that means Nigeria is running on autopilot for the last 14 years after the amalgamation. But the argument of many Nigerians from all sides is that we should continue to manage Nigeria out the disintegration of Nigeria because it is of benefit for everyone to remain one. Agenda inside Nigeria. So we are very skeptical of each other. The Yorubas are skeptical about the Igbos. The Igbos are, and vice versa as well. So when those of us that are crying that we should allow Nigeria to disintegrate, the argument is that some might lose more and some might gain more. Do you also agree that some might lose more and while some will gain more? Nobody is going to lose. We are all going to gain. And what are we going to gain? The first thing is we will gain back our true identity that the British colonizer took away from us after they came in as guests on our territory and eventually started corrupting the minds of our people against each other. And in the last decades and decades and decades, nobody has been truly been able to identify who they are. So the first thing is, if Nigeria disintegrates fully, and we pray that it does so quickly before any more time of people losing their lives, we will first regain back our true belief of who we are. Because the reason why everybody is fighting each other is because we are called one Nigeria and we are all locked together to believe that we are one Nigerians as citizens. But in reality, we are not one single country in that particular geographical location. We have the Yorubas, we have the Igbos, we have the Hausas, the Ijaws, and we have many other smaller indigenous ethnic groups within Nigeria. But when the British came into the system, they realized that some were doing better than others. And for their own selfish gain, they went in line with Lugard agenda to join Nigeria together in what is now known as the 1914 amalgamation. So what we are trying to say to Nigerians is that we want to de-amalgamate what was amalgamated. Because when it was amalgamated, it was done in the hope that if all goes in line, we can live side by side, we would all have equal share of what is called Nigeria. But today, when you look at the current state of Nigeria, you and myself knows that there is not what we call equal share. Some part of Nigeria has more access to certain resources that doesn't belong to them, while others are not given the same opportunity. When you look at the allocation of how the system is operating, it is not because of the leadership. It is because the system was founded not to work. So in the north, the northerners wants to remain one, as one Arab, one Islam. But their own Islam might be different from the Islam that is not fully practiced in the southeast. Not that we don't have Igbos that are Muslims, but majority of the people in the southeast are Christians. So they don't want to have any association with these particular northerners, that their own Islam is trampling on their own belief system. And that is why we are not having, this religious tolerance in Nigeria. And when you remember, many governments that have come in, especially, the evil government like Buhari, that our Kabiyesi went to visit, killing many Christians in Nigeria, is because they want to convert the Christians to believe in their own Islam. And that will be very difficult, because if you're trying to push people into your own belief that you have to be Christian, you have to be Muslim when they don't want to be Muslim, there will be problems. And if you go back to the current situation that is happening in Syria, as an example, there is a lot of issues in Syria, as we are all watching right now. But one thing is, our focus point is that nobody's going to lose out if Nigeria breaks today. Nobody's going to lose out. Those that wants to be known as Christian in the northern part of Nigeria would have to work with their own Islamic brothers and sisters to become Christian, because Kaduna is more of Christian, but they are still part of the north. But let's come back to the southwest. In the Yoruba side, we have Islam, we have Christians, and we have our traditions. Our own kind of Islam is completely different from the one practiced in the north. And that means that we want to make sure that our true identity can reflect in our own religion as Christians and as Muslims. But the bulk of the reason why we want to disintegrate from Nigeria is because when you look at the French, the people that are known as French, you will see that if you travel to France today, they have the same language. They speak the same language. They are of the same type of people. But when you go to Germany, a French do not want to be known as German. It wants to remain a French citizen. And likewise, a German citizen, they can go to France on holiday. They can go for business. They can even go to study French language. But they do not want to lose their true identity known as Germans. That is the reason why the Yorubas wants to remain Yoruba. We want to have good neighbors, the Hausas, the Igbos, the Ijos, and those in our surroundings. But we don't want to be known as Nigerians called Yoruba. And that is why you should look at Kemi Badenoch. Kemi Badenoch said, look, I don't want to have anything to do with Nigeria. I am a Yoruba. And firstly, Nigeria has not even been of benefit to me. Because if Kemi Badenoch was literally in Nigeria as a politician, she would not even be a leader of a political party in Nigeria. Because ever since we returned back to democracy in 1999, we've had fantastic people of women that could take charge of becoming the leader of each of the political party. But because of the men ego do not want to accept a true women to lead, the country. Now, if we have our own independent Yoruba country, we must give access, room, opportunity to every woman, because every woman would also have to be given, the privilege, just like what Kemi Badenoch is enjoying today in the United Kingdom. What Kemi Badenoch is enjoying today, she will not, in 1,000 years from now, should we remain in Nigeria, have that same privilege. And if, the Vice President, Kashima, is knocking Kemi Badenoch for not promoting Nigerian, well, she will not promote Nigeria because she does not see anything good to promote about Nigeria. Because we all remember the EndSARS saga. Kemi Badenoch saw the same thing that she experienced in the same manner after she left Nigeria. And the same thing is why she's saying, look, yes, I was born with a parent from Nigeria, but I don't want to have anything to do with Nigeria. I am fully a British citizen, and the opportunity that I'm given here will not be given. So let me remind many Nigerians that are Yoruba of background, that are living in the United Kingdom, seeing somebody like Kemi Badenoch being given the opportunity and privilege, my question to you is, would your daughter, I'm talking about your daughter, be given the same right and opportunity that Kemi Badenoch is experiencing and enjoying in the United Kingdom today? Because if you disagree that Yoruba people should cut out of Nigeria, and yet you have daughters that were born in this country, can you send your daughter back to the same country called Nigeria and allow them to participate in the political structure in Nigeria? I'm sure many of you will agree that you will never send your daughter to go back to Nigeria and play politics. And politics is good, because when we have Yoruba country, we will play politics. But we are not going to play the same kind of dirty politics being played in the current dispensation of Nigeria today. We will play politics where women would be given access as much as men, because a woman should not be going into politics until she can sleep with a politician because she wants to attain a certain goal. If you look at since 1999, since today, we do not have a woman governor across the 36 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You might want to ask yourself why. It's because the Yorubas that are civilized, the Igbos that are civilized, the Hausas that are civilized, needs to go back and accept the truth that you will not attain your full potential as a woman in Nigeria. So Nigeria is a system that is creating havoc to the real indigenous people that wants to set up their own political structure that could be far better than United Kingdom, because we know that we, the Yorubas, we have been very civilized before the colonial and the Portuguese explorer came in the 15th century. We respected women. We continue to give women the privilege. But the Nigeria today never gave a woman the privilege. Let's talk about the Funmilayo Ransome Kuti. Funmilayo Ransome Kuti was a strong woman within the southwest part of Nigeria. Well, we saw the end of Funmilayo Kuti after the invasion of Kalakuta during Obasanjo, when Unknown Soldier. I'm sure many of you remember that song. Unknown soldier, Wookie my mama, unknown soldier. So if you go back to that era, you realize that nothing has changed. Let me remind you that the same way Funmilayo Ransome Kuti was murdered, those of you watching me on Koikimedia the Doer, you need to go on another platform, because that battery on the phone is going very slow. It's going drain. So if you want to continue the last part of the program, you need to join on the other platform. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a very good afternoon. Now, let's continue quickly because of my time. Let's now move forward and ask, has Nigeria ever respected women in any part of Nigeria, in politics, in whatever? Let's look at Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. You can see that she's doing extremely very well outside Nigeria. She tried during Obasanjo to manage the finance of Nigeria. But there are some people that do not accept her to manage that affair on our behalf. People that became terrible to her, just like they became terrible to Kemi Adeosun, another very powerful, intelligent woman from the Southwest. So the question is, why do you want to remain in Nigeria when our women are not respected? Our women are not given the privilege to turn things around. No woman in Nigeria will turn things around because men that are criminals, that are calling themselves politicians, hiding under political parties, whether it's the PDP, the APC as we know them, and other criminal parties that are all established across Nigeria, doesn't want the true women from the southeast and from the southwest to run the affairs of Nigeria. And that means that they will continue to trample on them. Now, my question to most of the women, this message is for the women. Do you want us to remain one Nigeria where you will not have any privilege as a woman, whether in the banking system, in the oil sector, in the gas sector, in the transportation sector? No women will be given any privilege. But when we talk about a new system, we are talking about a new structure, not a structure that can be changed in Nigeria, because you cannot change the current structure of Nigeria, because the current structure of Nigeria is what the British want it to be. In as much as some of you might say, but you have been given independence. You are not given independence to respect women. You are given independence to trample. And if you look at what is happening with Sanusi, the emir, when he said certain things about women and her daughter, I can't remember how the story is all about, but this came out about a few days ago, I think about last week. You will realize that the northern part of Nigeria do not want to respect women. They don't want to. And that is why they keep their women, like Buhari said, that women are meant to be in the kitchen. If you remember that when Buhari went to Germany during his tenure as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Buhari said it clearly in the open press that women should not be in the front seat like the former German Chancellor Angela Merkel. We have seen powerful women take charge. We have seen them happening in the current state and in the past. Margaret Thatcher was running the affairs of this country. We have seen powerful women that have taken the charge across the globe, but you will never have the privilege to see the same thing in Nigeria, because Nigeria is not designed to help women. So if you're a woman and you are there saying, those of us that are asking for Yoruba nation, you disagree with it. It is all right for you to disagree. But do you also remember that even you as a business person in Nigeria, you can see that you have not been given access to support your business as a woman. You have always been told that men should take charge. Allow the men to take charge. But you all know that in the European system, every woman is given the privilege. So why then are you saying that those that are asking for Yoruba nation that will be given the privilege that you are enjoying in Europe, in Asia, in every part of the world that you are presently? It seems that something is not right. Kí n kàn ṣàlàyé ní èdè Yorùbá ní fún about 2 minutes. Ntí mò ń sọ ni pé àwọn tí wọ́n náà wọ́n fẹ́ Yoruba nation, wọ́n náà wọ́n fẹ́ kọ́kọ́ ṣe pẹ̀lú Yoruba nation, kódà wọ́n ní Yoruba nation kò ń ṣe tó yẹ ká máa béèrè fún. Ǹjẹ́ mọ̀ pé ẹ̀tọ́ obìnrin wọ́n fi ń jẹ wọ́n níyà nínú Nàìjíríà láti 1960 tí a ti gbòmìnira. Wọ́n ò jẹ́ kí obìnrin rí àǹfààní kankan jẹ yàtọ̀ sí tí wọ́n ṣe nígbà tí wọ́n ń ṣe regional government. Tẹ́ bá lọ sí history wa díẹ̀, ẹ rí pé ìyá wa Olúfúnmiláyọ̀ Ramson Kuti, obìnrin takuntakun ni, obìnrin tí ó mọ ìwúlò ìtọ́npè ní activism, obìnrin tó mọ ìwúlò ẹ̀tọ́ ọmọ ènìyàn. Kí ni Ọbásanjọ́ padà ní kó ṣe fún ìyá náà? ó ní kó jù látòkè kó forí ẹ̀ lálẹ̀ kó lọ́n bá wa forí jì kó lọ́n bá wa fọ̀run kẹ́yà náà, ìyẹn màmá Fẹlá tí àwọn unknown soldier tó lọ ká mọ́lé tó padà pa náà ni. Kò ń ṣe pé Ọbásanjọ́ ò mọ̀ pé kò jẹ́ kó pàyà yẹn, torí pé Ọbásanjọ́ was trained to kill. He was not trained to, to make it look like it's nice. Iṣẹ́ sójà tí wọ́n train àwọn fún nìyẹn, but sójà ti lóyìnbó kò ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ ká fast forward again. Wọ́n mú Tolúlọpọ̀ Arótilé tí ó jẹ́ ọmọ kékeré 24 years old. Wọ́n dẹ̀ mú ẹ̀mí ẹ̀, wọ́n dá lábodò, wọ́n yọ ẹ̀mí kúrò lára ẹ̀. Wọ́n ní mọ́tò kan ó wọnú ọgbà wọn ní Kaduna níbẹ̀, ó dẹ̀ reverse, ó dẹ̀ pa. Ǹjẹ́ yìí mọ ìdí tó ṣe pa? Nítorí pé wọ́n ò fẹ́ kí obìnrin tó wá láti south west nílẹ̀ Yorùbá kó ní kankan tó máa lè sọ pé òun lòun wà in power. Ẹ lọ wo Okonjo-Iweala nígbà tó ṣe finance minister lábẹ́ Ọbásanjọ́. Ó ní àwọn ìgbésẹ̀ tó fẹ́ gbé kó lè darí nǹkan kó jẹ́ kí ó tò, kó tò síbí, kó tò sọ́hùn. Àwọn tí wọ́n ń ṣe ìjọba ní north wọ́n ní rọ́ kò possible. Okonjo-Iweala ò lè ṣe, wọ́n ṣe kí ni? Wọ́n yọ gbogbo into ẹ̀ kó jẹ́ kó ṣeé ṣe, wọ́n jẹ́ kó ṣeé ṣe. Ẹ wo bó ṣe ń ṣe ní ìta nísìnyí. Ẹ jẹ́ ká lọ wo obìnrin tó tún wá láti south west tó ń pè ní Kẹ́mi Adéọ̀ṣun. Ẹ wo ìgbésẹ̀ tí Kẹ́mi Adéọ̀ṣun ń gbé lọ nígbà tó débẹ̀. Ó ní owó kan wọlé, no, epo ń jáde, owó ò wọlé. Ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ṣe ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ investigation lórí ọ̀rọ̀ bí nǹkan ṣe di pé a rí owó nínú Nàìjíríà, torí pé ìlú tó ní resources lọ́pẹ́, kí ni ìlú kan ṣe lè ní resources tí ìyà dẹ̀ ń jẹ àwọn tó wà nínú ẹ̀? Kí lẹ padà wọ́n ṣe fún Kẹ́mi Adéọ̀ṣun? Wọ́n padà gbé ṣubú náà ni. Mo wá ń sọ fún gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ̀ ń gbọ́ mi pé tí a bá wá wo sísítà wa, ìyá wa Kẹ́mi Badenoch, ipò tó jẹ lénìí ní UK gẹ́gẹ́ bí adarí àwọn Conservative Party, tó bá jẹ́ pé Nàìjíríà ló wà, wọn ò ní fún ní àyè yẹn kó di ipò yẹn, nítorí pé Nàìjíríà ò nífẹ̀ẹ́ obìnrin. Ìkà ní Nàìjíríà, ìyẹn la ṣe ń sọ fẹ́yìn diaspora tẹ́ ń sọ pé ẹ fẹ́ Yorùbá nation, pé àwọn ọmọ yín tó jẹ́ obìnrin tí ẹ bí sílùú òyìnbó ní gbogbo bí tẹ bá bí wọn sí, Ọlọ́run Elédùmarè á bá wa wò wọ́n, á tọ́ wọn. Ǹjẹ́ yín lè ní kọ́ ọmọ yín lọ ṣe politics nínú Nàìjíríà? Àbí ẹ fẹ́ kọ́ ọmọ yín náà ṣe politics ní UK, ní Amẹ́ríkà, níbi tí wọ́n ti máa rí ọwọ́ yọ, tá a máa dunnú pé ẹ wo Kẹ́mi Badenoch ọmọ Yorùbá, ẹ wo Bùkọ́lá, ẹ wo Yétúndé, ẹ wo Tèmítọ́pẹ́, àwọn orúkọ obìnrin ńláńláńláńlá. Gbogbo eléyìí la ṣe ń sọ fẹ́yìn tí ẹ̀ ń disagree pẹ̀lú wa pé ẹ gbé yẹ̀wò lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí o. Yorùbá nation òun nìkan ní ọ̀nà àbáyọ tó lè fún ẹ̀tọ́ ọmọbìnrin, àtọmọbìnrin kékeré ni àtọmọbìnrin ńlá ni. Yorùbá nation òun nìkan ló lè fún alẹ́ tán yẹn. Orúkọ tèmi á máa jẹ́ Koikimedia. Ire o.